In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a nested function. A nested function is when you use a function as an argument for another function. So what we have here is we have project 3, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and use the payment function. But the difference with this payment function is we want to make sure that if this cell D13 contains a 1, that it's going to use the monthly interest rate, and then we'll also create a formula to go ahead and create the number of monthly payments for the life of the loan. But if this cell D13 contains a 2, it means it's an annual, so we want to make sure we use 15 for the number of years and that we use the annual interest rate. So I'm going to go down to D17, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the payment function, since that is the parent function, and the if functions we're going to use inside the arguments of the payment function. So I'm going to pull up the payment function, and the interest rate and the number of payments. This is where we're going to nest the if function, because we don't know which interest rate we're going to use and we don't know how many payments. It all depends on what number shows up in cell D13. So how you do a nested function is once you bring up the first function, in this case the payment function, position the insertion point in the argument text box that's going to contain the nested function, and in this example it is the rate. Step 2, you want to come over to the name box and click on the triangle down, which gives you a list of functions that have been used, and if you don't see the one that you want to use, you can go to more functions. Now what we're going to do is, since we already see the if function in this list, we're going to choose the if function. Now two things happened here. One, the function dialog box changed to the if function, showing the arguments just for the if function. But if you look in your formula bar, you're going to see the payment function is still there, and we have the first argument being created, which is going to be the if function. So the logical test is going to be if this cell is equal to 1, then we know that the interest rate is going to be the monthly. Otherwise, the only other thing it could be is a number 2, which is yearly, and we'll use the annual interest rate. Now, the second thing you want to do is you want to go back to the payment function arguments dialog box. Most students at this point will click OK, and you get an error message. You can't do that. So let me go ahead and erase everything here and start over again and show you the proper way to go back to the main function, or what I'm going to refer to as the parent function's argument dialog box. So I'm going to go up to financial again. We'll bring up the payment function, and we are in the interest rate or the rate argument text box. Let's go ahead and go to the name box and click on the drop down list, and let's choose if, and if this cell equals a 1, then we know we're dealing with monthly, so we're going to go to the monthly interest rate. Otherwise it's yearly. Now what you don't want to do, don't click on OK, because we still have to finish out the rest of the arguments for the payment function. You want to come up to the formula bar and just take your mouse pointer and click on the PMT function name, and two things are going to happen. One, you're going to see that your function highlights in the formula bar, but two, the most important thing is your PMT function dialog box reappears with the if function already nested for the first argument. So let's go ahead and do another if function for the number of payments. If this cell is equal to a 1, oh, my bad, we got to do the nested function first. Let's go over to the name text box, and again note that I was already in the number of payment argument text box before I came over here. Let's choose the if function. Now we're in the if function dialog box. Look at your formula bar. You can see now we're creating the nested if function for the number of payments. You can see that comma separating the first argument and the second. If the cell equals 1, then we're going to go ahead and take the number of payments, which is going to be the number of years here, times 12. Otherwise it's an annual, which we just used the number of years. And again, I don't want to click OK because I still have to finish out the rest of my payment function. So we're going to go ahead and click on PMT. And now you can see the if function is nested for the number of payments. So let's finish it out. Present value is how much we're borrowing. Future value we're leaving alone because hopefully it's 0 when we get done making the payments. And the type will make the payments at the end of the month. And then we'll click OK. And that's how you do a nested function. So you can see we have the payment function. The first argument, which is the rate argument, has the nested if function. The second argument, which is the number of payment, has the second nested if function. The present value is cell D15, and we have nothing for future value and type. If you have any questions, please give me a call.